Perfect. Now, I think it is really important to address today this topic because how and why it is important to really stand up for yourself and your whys despite challenges that come against you that may take you out of your game sometimes, and is how important it is just to frame your goals and the things that they don't need to be completely extreme, and you can always dial back a little bit and maybe just not present or give your 100%, but you're still showing up and you're still giving yourself the opportunity to do something instead of nothing. It's something that I've been trying to teach for years, and it is one of the main things that tear people apart when they have done everything well, they've put in the work, they have achieved their goals, and suddenly they don't even know how and what to do next. Okay, I did everything that I needed to do. I achieved my goal. Now what? Now you feel either lost, or you have this fear that if you don't do, or if you stop doing what you were doing to achieve your goal, now you're going to regain or lose all the progress because you're no longer following that structure. So it's learning and understanding that you can maintain your results when you achieve the skills you have developed a mindset that will support your new self, your new body, your new structure, and you have developed boundaries and some form of non-negotiables that are going to be a solid foundation to now transition to maintenance or normality, or reverse back to something that is no longer a weight loss or aesthetic journey per se, but more so, how can I live normal? How can I enjoy it? How can I know learning the skills and having a solid foundation that will put you in the best position to actually continue that momentum. But now, why does this feel so difficult? We've got the things that are potentially going to play a little bit against us, especially if you have lost body fat, a decent amount of weight, you have been in a calorie deficit for a decent period of time. Remember, our physiology is there to protect you, and you'll experience things along the way, not just at the end, but along the way, that are gonna try to get you stop doing what you need to do. For example, your hunger signals get higher, you get more fatigued, you feel like your reward system is heightened because you're just having a higher desire for nice things, more food focus, more cravings. Sometimes the sleep can get a lot more disrupted when you're in a deficit, or when you are reducing carbohydrates, or when you don't have that timing right, when you have, or when you're experiencing some nutrient deficiencies that may be playing part of that as well. It also feels like once you have achieved your goal, or like you have completed, fulfill that goal that you wanted to work so hard for, then you feel like there is no longer like a purpose or restraint, or like, oh, well, now I can just relax. And maybe we relax too much. And that relaxation of not having your new default mode or going back to that structure is what makes it really difficult to just continue in that momentum. So the biggest thing for you right now is understanding that you may not be there yet, and it could take a lot longer than you think to achieve that goal. And it doesn't have to be all at once. It doesn't have to be like I need to be done by X amount of time, or the physique that I want, the body that I want needs to be achieved by X amount of time. You're not a physique competitor. This is a different story. You are someone who is trying to improve your body composition, improve your muscle mass, nourish your body, enjoy your life a lot better with a lot more confidence, feeling in yourself, feeling like you can use the dress that you love, that you can just enjoy gracefully everything that is around you and feel like you just shine, you own that shit. And that is just the best version of yourself. It's not about comparing yourself to someone else, to a role model that you can just look up to and say, hey, I would really love to just improve my physique to the point that I can feel as confident as that lady or that girl. I've seen women walking with like a top, and they're not very lean. And like, I wish I had that confidence when I had, I don't know, 10 more kilos than that I have now. And it's all about feeling yourself like your best self. Feel like you fucking rock this world in whichever clothing you use, just by working on the aspect of self-confidence and self-body image. Knowing that at the end of the day, honestly, the only ones who care about how we look and what we look like is ourselves. No one else gives a shit. If you go to the gym with a big baggy cloth or with a tank top or a top, honestly, again, it's you who's going to project on yourself how you feel and how you look like. Because everyone else, at the end of the day, they are not going to really care. Like, you walk on the street and you see someone, and do you actually take a look and start detailing and trying to tear apart someone who is wearing X, Y, or Z? It is very rare. You have to be very bored to do it or have nothing else to do. But the majority of the times, if you see someone, or maybe some like an outlier of someone that just pops out of the multitude, you see it, you admire it, maybe you have a few thoughts, and you just move on. You keep doing and you keep working on your life or whatever you're doing. So it's the same for you when you think about the who is thinking about me, or like, oh, this person is going to criticize me, or all these thoughts that come to our mind that just prevent us for taking action or just doing what we feel we want to do, but we are scared of what are people going to think or say. No one really gives a shit. So I just want to encourage you to think about that when it comes to just taking action on certain things that we just don't do because we're scared of what people are going to think or say. And that at the end of the day, you just want to work on the areas that are going to make you feel better in your own skin. And rather than comparing to someone else, comparing yourself against your old self in these different areas. We're talking about how you compare against your old self in specific situations. Like, before I would have done this, now I do this, I react in this different way. Before I had X, Y, or Z things in my body that I didn't like, now these are a lot better, they have improved. So all of these little details, like when you compare different situations where you used to be before and the way you used to react, and now you manage these things better, that allow you to be present, that allow you to be more intentional, that allow you to actually stay in control of the situation rather than feeling like you are losing it, or to just turn to food, or you just kind of like do fuck all and like whatever, and then you just completely lose it. Now you feel like you are able to develop and display the skills that you have been building along this time through your journey, through coaching, through these regular support, regular check-ins, regular conversations where we are like honing in on these things that are designed and discussed. And that's the whole point of coaching, is really bringing out of you the best, because everything is when you start working on your journey and coaching, everything is in you. You just don't know that you have it, or perhaps you just need to refine lots of different things that you are halfway there, but you don't really know how to explode it and how to make the most out of those skills. Because the majority of the people that I am working with, all of you guys are like smart cookies. Like, you are people that aren't just like, oh, I don't know what to do. Like, you're fucking smart, and you are admirable. You have skills. You do lots of different things. You're a boss. So you have so many positive things that is more about extracting out of you those diamonds and getting you more ready for life, ready for coming up against these things that are going to derail you because you haven't been able to refine and have that power to stand up for yourself and create those boundaries or create those strategies that are going to give you the momentum to continue once you're no longer dieting, or when you're traveling. Sometimes it's just knowing that you can trust yourself when you are no longer tracking, or when you're around foods that are very, very tempting. But you have the control over that situation because you have learned what is important to you, what are your whys. You have learned to keep your non-negotiables intact. You have learned to know when to track, know when to not track, and not obsess about it. You have learned to create a structure of things that even if it gets really hard, you have your minimum non-negotiables that you will honor in a way or the other. And being okay sometimes to learn that you can also be compassionate, and being okay to not be perfect every single time. We want to succeed, all of us. We all want to be and do our best, tick the boxes, look at our schedule, look at our goals, and know that we are moving towards that every single day. But when life gets in the way, shit hit the fan, we get paralyzed because now routine is broken. Strategies that we were used to implement probably not going to work, and then things completely flip, and then you lose it, and you feel like, now, well, what's the point of continuing, or what's the point of doing something if I can't control it, or if I don't know even how to make it work, or if I'm not going to be able to tick all the boxes, what's the point? So it's a lost day. Is completely gone. No, it's not. It's probably not going to be perfect, but that's when we think about having a plan, having a master plan that we can try to use, that we can use as like a wild card when things don't go the way we planned or the way we want it. This is when things are going to be important for us to know, what is my plan A, plan B, plan C? How can I do this without making it a big deal? All or something is the word or the statement that has just completely changed the way I approach and my clients approach situations. You don't have to do 100% every single fucking time, because sometimes it's just not going to be possible, but you can do something about it. And what that is the main point of identifying what is the minimum non-negotiable that I could do, that even if it's just that extra 10%, even if it's not 100%. But 10% is better than 0% for sure. So it's going to make you feel better that you still did something about it, that you still showed up for yourself. And that tiny 10% is still moving the needle in one way or the other. Maybe it's not going, like, obviously, like if you think about it, if you did or did not do your cardio today, will that actually on its own, isolated, make a difference in losing the weight by the end of the month? If you only look at that individual thing isolated, it's not going to do shit. Why? Because no one got thin or lost weight for eating a salad one day, and no one got fat from eating a donut on one day. Nothing happens in isolation. Everything compounds. Everything adds up. Everything happens when it happens repeatedly and consistently. And that applies to everything when it comes to results. It's not that you do it perfectly one day. How perfect can you be and maintain that level of a standard every single fucking day to achieve your goal? So when you aim for this level of 100% perfection, you will be able to do it when you feel good, on the good days. But what happens when you don't feel good? When things are not expected, when things are not as normal, then you can't be perfect. But changing the mindset of all or nothing, 100% or 0%, you can still show up and do a 20%, 50%, and still get moving in the right direction. So I'd rather you to be consistent over perfect. You still do something, you're still implementing, you're still learning, you're still making progress. And rather than just having inconsistent imperfection and just hitting the mark every now and then the rest of the days you do fuck all. Zero. And then because we're putting so much on the days that you put in 100%, but you don't see results, that's where we feel like there's something wrong with our body. There's something wrong with us. And it has nothing to do that you're a special human creature that has something wrong with your body. Is that you just haven't been as consistent as you think you were. You probably are thinking that you're doing everything right, and you probably are on the days that you are doing 100%. But when you're not consistent, and this is not happening on a regular basis, even if it's not 100%, your perfect days become less powerful. Because at the end of the day, when we zoom out, everything becomes an average. Like, what is the total average of these activities or these effects, these numbers, by the end of the week? And sometimes when we do things really, really, really good, and then sometimes you lose it and you say, fuck it, we go all to the other end of the spectrum, and we go and eat whatever we want, or like, whatever, I get back on track tomorrow, I don't care, I am just sick of this situation or whatever, then it completely ruins all the progress and all the perfection that you did on the days you actually did really good. And when we take the data and the numbers and we look at the averages, it ends up being like you never got to be on a true deficit in average, because these days they just took you out of proportion, and the days that you did hit your targets are just outrun by the days that you blew it. So again, mindset, consistency over that inconsistent perfection is a lot more important. Something else that is very tricky sometimes is obviously managing the need for things that can feel really hard with control and tracking. And when you're not tracking what's going on, how are you going to actually feel still in control and trust your body, trust your instincts, trust your appetite, trust your satiety. That makes it tricky. And that's one of the things that we also work together when we're doing our coaching, is teaching you how to be intentional, how to be present at every single meal, despite having the structure that I have mentioned before, just your non-negotiables. Like, you really need to know what is important to you, what are some of the things that you definitely need to pay attention to on a regular basis when it comes to your nutrition. So you know that at the end of the day, you want to have a, like, if you're no longer trying to lose weight, you just want to maintain, you really just need to find that range where you can just play with, that is going to maintain your body weight within um one one or two minus up and down kilos from your goal weight or your current physique. And also, like, being paying attention to other things that are going to impact your decision making, which is the food choices that you have on a regular basis, how filling they are, how much are they hitting the spot of satiety but also satisfaction. So are the foods that you're choosing making a bit of a difference in the way that you enjoy your diet? Because your diet doesn't have to be full of ultra processed foods or like cookies and donuts and stuff to be enjoyable. You need to look at your current diet, look at your preferences, look at the things that you do enjoy, and find a way to fit them in that allows you to enjoy your meals in within a spectrum of, like, a staircase of the hedonic staircase of foods. You have like foods that are really, really highly palatable. On the other end of the staircase, you have foods that are very bland and boring. And either or in the spectrum can make things really, really easy to adhere to, because the food is so boring that you just don't eat as much, or making it so hard that you can just find yourself cheating on your diet all the time because food is really tasty and it's hard to stop when you have to. So it's coming up with a plan of how can you master the choices that you're making, so allows you to be on point, reduce cravings, manage your appetite, improve your satiety, but also feel like you are actually enjoying your diet. If you don't enjoy what you eat, then we need to explore foods that can actually help doing that. Like, for example, a practical way to put it is my own case. During this full prep, I haven't eaten anything out of the ordinary. But the foods that I eat and that I choose to have in my diet, I think that I actually seem to enjoy fairly consistently. Like, when for my breakfast, I enjoy eating fucking this big stir fry of veggies. That gives me fullness. I enjoy it, gives me satiety. I use spices and salt and things that make me feel really good. And that's something that has allowed me to stay super consistent. And I am not like craving shit along the way. Same when I choose my protein sources and my carbohydrates and my veggies, and some foods that they just hit the spot. Certain combinations that I allow myself to have. For example, a combination that I use is toasting these wraps of these tortillas in the toaster, and I put some sugar-free maple syrup, cinnamon, and cottage cheese. And to me, that is like, oh, I enjoy it so much. And I am willing sometimes to swap things around to fit that in, but it's something that is not so tasty, like a donut or like a cereal, that will make me just lose it. If you give me cereal, I am 100% going to tell you that I'm going to devour it. I'm going to enjoy it so much, but I'm going to have a really fucking hard time not wanting to eat more. And then because I like it so much, it is okay to enjoy it. It is okay to allow yourself to have it, but it just depends on when, and like the timing when you decide to have certain foods is probably not the right time, because it's just like your situation, your goals can make things a lot harder. So perhaps once I finish this season, I am going to have different set of boundaries or certain things that may lift some of these points of restriction a lot more, because my situation changed. So you can play with the allowance and adjustments of certain boundaries, certain restrictions, based on what is going to help you achieve your goals at that point in time, and what is going to just make things harder, especially if you are in a deficit, if you're trying to improve your body composition. Maybe it's not the right time to eat things that are just going to increase your appetite or your cravings, because that's just going to make things a lot harder with consistency, with compliance, with actually hitting your regular daily goals. It's not that those highly palatable foods are bad. It's just like, unfortunately, sometimes they are so high in calories that in order for you to actually enjoy it, you will want to eat a lot more than what you could allow in your budget. If you think about the portion size that will fit in your budget, it's just like, it's not worth it. Like you'd rather choose something that will actually visually and nutritionally and like taste is going to make sense, and it's going to give you a lot more satisfaction. Now, there are people, there's everyone and there's everything for everyone. Some people are completely fine if they have that specific food, even if it's this size. They don't care. Like, as long as I can have it, I'm happy. But there are people that they just feel like they need to have something substantial that makes them enjoy, like you can be present and you can actually enjoy that full thing. Maybe a slice of cake, or I don't know, whatever is your favorite, sweet or savory or tasty. Like, to me, just eating a full bag of tasty cheese, like I could eat cheese all day, and the entire thing. Like I can just grab this bag of cheese, of mozzarella cheese, 500 grams, and just grab and eat. Like, I can't stop eating cheese. So cheese for me is like, I have to really be intentional and buy things that are tiny, or I don't buy them at all in this current present journey. Does it mean that I won't have cheese? Absolutely no, fuck it. I will definitely have cheese in specific situations, but it's always assessing, is this going to be actually enjoyable, or is going to make things a lot harder at this point in time? And that's why I've taken the initiative to not have, during all this time, not even one box of cereal, not even like this cardboard boring shit like All Brand that like is like, who's gonna want to eat that? Like, I can't eat the full thing. It doesn't fucking matter if it's just at 200 grams of fiber. I just can't stop. So I just don't have any sort of cereal, because then that gives me the power back to say, I could eat that any other time. That is not going to go away. And I'm going to be in control, and I'm going to feel really good about the choices that I've made. If I ever want to, like if I'm dying for it, I can give myself permission and have it. Like, that's not going to go away. So I know I have the permission, which is really important, but it's my choice not to have it, because it's not going to make me feel good. So I'm not just thinking about the pleasure, but I'm also thinking how I am going to feel if I do choose to do something that is going to make me feel like shit. Because it's not just a taste and the enjoyment at the moment that you're eating that food, it's what is going to happen after that. That's what I want you to think about. If you choose to eat something, that's totally fine. But how are you going to feel after that? Are you going to feel guilty? Are you going to feel shame? Are you going to feel completely neutral? Are you going to feel super, super happy and happy that you made that decision? What is the effect that eating that food is going to have in you? So if you think about that before eating or making the choice of eating that specific food at any point in time, that will give you a lot more power and a lot more perspective when it comes to making food choices, because you're not just thinking about the instant reward, the instant pleasure of just exploring and enjoying the taste of those 10 seconds that lasts in your mouth, because that's another thing. It just lasts the times that you're just chewing it and swallowing it, and then that's it. But the rest is like it goes to your intestinal tract, it gets digested, gets absorbed, gets broken down in carbohydrates, fats, and protein. And if it's likely very high in carbohydrates and fats and very low in protein, that is going to be going to your fat stores or your muscles, depending on how full they are in terms of glycogen. And then, yeah, the taste lasted 3 seconds, and then the rest is like, fuck. So I encourage you a lot to be more intentional when you choose to eat certain things, because it just goes beyond the taste and the experience of just choosing something that is just going to give you that reward. How are you going to feel after you eat that food? Because when you don't think about these consequences is when things get harder with your relationship with food. I remember just being so automatic and so, I guess, not intentional, that I just wanted to have that taste, that experience. But obviously, I didn't think about how I would feel after that. And then I would just feel like, what's wrong with me? Why am I doing this? If I didn't even need this, I didn't even enjoy it. Yeah, you get to a point sometimes that you start and it's like you can't stop, and it's like you talk to yourself like, fucking stop. And it's like there is a disconnection between what you're saying to yourself and you're thinking about stuff that I know I shouldn't be doing this, and then your hand continues to grab the food and put it in your mouth, and it's like, fucking stop. And your hand is like is in a different place, and your mouth, like, I don't know if that has happened to you, but it's happened to me a lot of times. And it's just like a complete disconnection between what you're saying to your brain and what you know that you have to fucking do and what you're actually doing. And at the same time, you know that you should not be doing that, and your hand is like, you keep doing it. And like, what the fuck? You're like, you are completely, it's just weird. And I'm trying to be very transparent, because that has happened to me so many times with the foods that I really find myself that I like them so much that I can't stop. And it has nothing to do with that there are certain foods that are addictive or that there's something wrong with you. It's a lot to do with pleasure and that instant reward, that seek of dopamine, and the correlation that has to do with all the areas of your life that are craving for attention. Many times we're just seeking to feel some emptiness that has nothing to do with food, but we just fucking take or feel like food is the only one thing that is going to fill that void. But it could be loneliness. It could be that you've been fighting with your partner for a long time. It could be that you're just so stressed and you're so tired that you have nothing left in the tank and you feel overstressed, burnout, and you're just seeking for that nice little moment where you can just feel something. And this is all real shit. Like, this is something that I personally have gone through and experienced, and that's why I talk to you about these things. And I know you struggle with those things as well. So being able to have the skill of being able to understand and think beyond the pleasure is going to make a big difference when it comes to managing that emotional eating or that impulse that comes along, but also being able to plan ahead what your diet is going to look like. So that's why when you guys ask me for meal plans, the first thing that I ask you is, I want you to come up with your basic staples that you would always want to have and sort of rotate within those food groups that you enjoy, that you eat. But we're also going to make some adjustments along the way or around your diet. So there are foods that are going to allow you to feel like you're enjoying your diet, but they are not going to be so at the extreme of being so highly palatable or so bland that can make or break your diet. And that is really important. Find foods that fit in, but they are not so in one way or the other in that spectrum of the hedonic staircase of foods. Now, I think it is important that you think about what is important to you and how far are you from getting to that goal, and that the time frame can be a lot longer than you think it would be when you consider that life gets in the way, that you consider that things happen. But in that in between, are you able to just learn how to maintain? Sometimes it's all about just learning how to maintain rather than losing more. But how do you keep your results so far, and how you manage challenging situations or challenging times without losing what you have achieved, and then going back to that momentum when the times are right. So all of these things matter, and I really want you guys to think about those things a lot more.